What's going on, everybody? Travis Tooke here, and I'm here with one of my best friends, black belts, and owner of his own Brazilian Jiu-jitsu Academy, Team Tooke Cypress, Professor Miguel Castro. How are you, sir?
How you guys doing today? Glad to be here.
We have a lot to talk about. We've been really close friends since 2008, when you started training with me, and I really wanted to get into the history of...
Actually,
2006?
Yeah. February 21, 2007.
7. Okay, we'll agree to meet in the middle. 2007. And I wanted to talk a little bit about, kind of like your history of, getting involved in jiu-jitsu and becoming a student and, really finding a passion for it, becoming a black belt and eventually starting your own academy. And we'll get to that. But we're in strange times with this virus situation. So I thought it would be an opportunity for us to also talk about, since we both own academies and we've had to respond to this situation, how we've been doing. So we'll kind of start with that and maybe backtrack. But how you been doing with that?
Well, the big thing is we have to respond, right? Just like with everything, obstacles and challenges respond. It's kind of caught us all by surprise, and we're adapting, doing online courses and trying to be interactive with the students and keep everyone engaged. We've had to think definitely outside of the box, and adjust our steps. But the hardest part is, from an instructor's point of view, academy owner, you miss your students. I mean, the problem, not the problem, but the issue is they're not family, but they kind of are family. You know what I mean? So not by blood, but so you miss them and you miss the interaction and you the kids and the jokes and the things like that, and just sharing, working to a common bond, a common goal, and we miss it. I'm sure you echo the same thing, but we can't wait to get back to it. So.
Yeah, I definitely, it's kind of uncharted territory that I think most business owners that are alive today have not probably experienced something like this. And so there's a lot of unknown. I think for me, I've been really happy and surprised with the response and the feedback that we have had with the students.
Learning how to adjust through adversity. You kind of have and that was one of the biggest things when starting a business, right? It's like, okay, you work in corporate America and everything's so set up and structured, and then you go into, it's like, I could do this, man. I've been in charge of billion-dollar networks and stuff like that. And then you go and you got to do your business, and it's like, oh, wait a second, I have to come up with a computer tracking program. I have to budget up, and you take for granted all these tools. It's these Fortune 50 companies they have deep pockets to invest in all this software, and you have to figure it out yourself, because if you can't do it, you're going to have to pay someone to do it. In the beginning, as you know, there's usually not enough money to be paying people to do it, so we had to do a lot of figuring things out, and YouTube tutorials and books for dummies and those type things. And it's frustrating, but you look back and those experiences, they mold you, they make you grow, and they help you whenever you're going to mentor students or people or your children that are interested in maybe going into entrepreneurship. So,
well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, the most important component of growing a business, which is the same advice I would give new students who want to be a black belt, is that you continue your education forever, and you don't ever believe that you've reached a point where you can settle or that you are you have enough. Even if you have a college degree, I feel like, and I don't have one of those, so I'm not like criticizing it, because you have to have one of those for certain jobs. But if you rest on the idea that degree means that you have a permanent set of skills that cannot be challenged, then you're going to get left behind, right? Especially now, things change so much, where a lot of these tech companies are hiring kids who have learned a lot on YouTube, and that pisses a lot of people off, because they're kind of like, I went to school for this long. It's like, yeah, but you got to pay attention to what's happening, and you've got to be ready to adapt. And like with your school in the beginning, and I think we had a similar starting point. I started like in a garage, and it's like that Tony Robbins quote, and I say it quite a bit. It's like, well, when you don't have resources, you have to be resourceful.
Very much so. And that's what we're in the times we're in now.
Yeah,
having to be resourceful.
Well, you've grown a lot since those days. I remember when you were starting off, and and each like 10 student mark was kind of a big hill climb. Like, we're at 25, and I remember that too. I remember getting to like 25 students and being like, this is great. And so but in the beginning you grow and it feels like, oh, life's just going to be like this forever. But one thing my mentor tells me is like each level kind of student count, each level that you reach requires a new set of skills, understanding, and procedures. And so within 50, you're good. If you keep the same operations, at work that you had at 50 students, when you get to 75, you'll quickly be back at 50.
Exactly.
So what were some of the kind of growing pains that you went through?
That was I remember we started out, and we just had like 1,000 square foot place, and that included the bathrooms and the office. So our mat area, the seating area, was probably about 600 square feet. So we really only had about 500 square feet to really train on, and we'd roll into the walls and have to patch them because we didn't have any side
real quick, I remember reading one of your early Google reviews because I was telling you like, hey man, you got to get these reviews,
Yes.
The good ones, and then you had a bad one, which we always get those, but this was like one you could do nothing about. But it was just kind of like, this place is this small and I'm running into the walls.
Yes.
I remember laughing. I was like, well, that's what you got right now.
Yeah, that's where we're at. But now we're in 4,500 square feet. So, and state-of-the-art facility.
And beautiful facility.
Yes,
Like,
thank you.
gorgeous facility, man.
So, but like I said, you have to pay your dues and adjust and make up for things like that. And you could get mad. And obviously, I did get mad. I'm not going to lie. It's like, man. But then you start things like, okay, well, what can I do to make this less of an influencer and focus on the positives that people will kind of, okay, that's part of it, but the greater outweighs that, and then that's why we want to keep coming, but in the beginning we got to like 65 students. I'm like rocking, and then next thing you know, because the way we did contracts at the time, just ignorant to business, November came, everyone decided to take a break, and they all left. And it was like, oh, what are you doing? It's like, oh, now we got 20 students, and we still got to pay the same bills. So, you got to learn on how to manage that and manage your projections and your cash flow and things like that. And that's something that, you had all these great tools when I was with these big companies, and now you don't have these big forecasting tools. Oh, I got to come up with it. I got to go learn.
Nor do you have a supervisor that you can complain to.
Exactly. No, the buck stops here. You know what I mean? The successes you take, but when you got the negatives, hey man, there's only one person at the helm of the ship, and it's you. So you got to take the good with the bad. Just like jiu-jitsu, you got to be the hammer and you got to be the nail sometimes.
Yeah. And I know, like, it's kind of cliche with success talk or whatever you want to call it, but I really feel that every dip and sort of temporary failure is extremely important to become who you end up becoming. Because if you just rode a high wave, I feel like, it's like, you feel like kind of like what the stock market's happening now. Like, we're on a high wave and then it crashes. And if you didn't have temporary dips along the way, I feel like those people lose their minds when it happens. And I had a bit of that when I hit a wave at one point of marketing success, and I did not up my game as I grew. Because what happens when you start to, it would be, imagine like, it would be like winning all your jiu-jitsu matches and then fighting someone that takes you down past your guard, mounts you, back mounts you, and chokes you in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
Oh yeah.
Because your brain has told you that you know what you're doing and everything is going to be fine. And until you experience that hardship, and I remember I had that, like, we grew, and I wasn't upping the level of service that we offered or seeking out changes in the industry, like in marketing and business in general. I just I'm going to ride this wave. Yeah. It's going to last forever. Have you had those? I know you've had those dips too.
Very much, yeah. And we had twice, and that's where, guys, or ladies and gentlemen, you have to. I'm a big believer. You have to have mentors, and you have to have a support group that can tell you when your shit stinks, or when your stuff stinks.
It's okay.
Okay. Because for that very reason. You get successful, you start doing things, and you get lazy. And I'm not saying, or there is a tendency to become lazy, right? Meaning, okay, well, today I'm not going to send out, I'm not going to make those calls to the students, or I'm not going to print this, I'll do it. And you procrastinate. And next thing you know, that one little thing is one little thing, no big deal. But then you start taking that, with other options, other areas, and next thing you know, all those little things add up, and you're not doing what made you successful. And then when you go back,
your hunger.
Yes, and then when you go back to fix it, you realize, wait a second, I'm 3 months behind. Google's just changed the algorithm. Facebook just changed the algorithm. Now I got to re-figure out what the algorithm. Now I'm 3 months behind, and so who can you blame? You blame yourself for becoming lackadaisical, which we all do. We all have bits, but that's why
human.
You have to leverage your support group to tell you, like, hey man, you got to get to it. You kind of slacking here, and not take it as like offensive, but like, oh man, you're right, and you got to trust people to help keep you straight.
Yeah, I feel like I know very few. I don't know if I know anyone who has succeeded in any field or endeavor without the help of mentors.
Oh,
you need someone who has done more or less what you've done, and it doesn't have to be in the same field, but it needs to follow a pattern that is proven, and that can kind of challenge you in a way that goes against what you think is right.
Yeah.
Because our instincts are mostly wrong. I feel like, it's kind of like, this is why science is a field. It's designed to test and prove ideas. And feelings and emotions prove nothing.
No.
Because I've had ideas for what I thought was best for the school for years, with a good ego to back it up. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to do this. That's an awesome idea. It's my idea. But it's kind of like...
And everyone's going to love it.
Yeah, but it's kind of like in jiu-jitsu if you're a purple belt and you're beating white belts with a game plan, and you think that move or those techniques work, it's like, are you beating the purples? Are you beating any brown belts? Or are you sort of tricking yourself into thinking that you're smarter than you are? And now, what happens, like you finally get to a level where you're more knowledgeable than you've ever been, with an attitude of, I don't know very much.
Exactly.
I think that's
it's
important.
Very humbling.
Yeah.
Yes. Very humbling. And that's the whole, thing, like your progression, and when you get the black belt and you realize, man, you're sitting there and you're sitting in, thank God I've had the opportunity to sit with yourself and Salo and Shanji and Lovato all in one mat session, sitting there, and you're training, and you're like, oh my God. It's like, I don't know, or you're doing private lessons with, my professor. It's like, oh wow, that's like, and you realize how much you don't know. I remember competing and having early successes and getting the purple belt and starting to school, and then you start believing your own stink, like, man, I kind of know what I'm doing.
I have arrived.
Yeah, I've arrived. I just got to hang out and just buy my time, and I'll get the black belt. But I think I got this figured out.
This jiu-jitsu stuff.
Yeah, I got it figured out. And you start doing things and dabbling things, and then I remember when I got to, I got closer to brown belt, and then just realized, like, you know what? And realizing I didn't listen to my instructor. You know what? I didn't, because you're telling me, it's like, you got a great top game. You got awesome top game. You got to work on your bottom game. You got to work on your bottom game. You got to work on your bottom game. I was beating everybody. I was like, hey, man, I'm doing good. And then what happens is you get closer to brown belt, and you're not doing anything with those guys, because as you go up in rank, you're going to end up on your bottom. It's going to happen, right? But me, and being older, kind of set in your ways, and it's like, oh, I spent more time as a brown belt going back and refining my fundamentals from white and blue belt because as a purple belt, I already knew everything. You know, I wanted to go and play and do all the fancy stuff and the turtle guards and all that. And guess what? I didn't have like one guard. I knew how a bunch of moves from different guards, but my basic closed guard and open guard skills were horrible because I didn't listen. You know, I took for granted the knowledge and the experience of my instructor who had come before me and had trained in Brazil and stuff like that. But you start believing your own hype. You know,
I remember when I knew everything as a purple belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and it's like, and then you're getting smashed, and it's just like, and no one likes to get smashed, but then you have to look at the mirror and say, okay, what went wrong here? Oh, what went wrong? Stupid, you didn't listen. That's what went wrong. And I felt like I was talking to my teenage kids at the time, or it's like, oh, so I had to go back and humble myself. It's like, okay, you know what? I need to like stop trying to drink from every well. And just stick to what I need to do and my fundamentals and refine them and get there. And then when I get the black belt, then start, doing so on and so forth. I know that maybe goes against the newer conventional wisdom, but that was, for me, that's how it worked out.
Yeah, I think the newer conventional wisdom is you have to be aware of any opportunity to expand your horizon of knowledge without leaving behind the most critical elements of success. So there are, I don't know how many ways that we can play a particular lapel guard, worm guard, lasso guard, but when I like that's the overwhelming part is if you map out and look at everything, like how many techniques there are.
Right.
But breaking each one down to, this is a concept that I've known as a white belt. This angle, this pressure, and this grip control.
Yes.
Being done in these different ways, right? No, but I think it's a normal process. Everyone has to go through it. You got to go through the process where you get smashed in the beginning. So you're humble as a white belt, and then you get kind of good again when you're a blue belt and purple because you can beat a lot of people below you. And then brown and black tends to be humbling. It's like a full cycle, I think that's an important part of the process. But you said you kind of touched on something that I think is makes the process so fun is that you don't arrive or reach an end goal. And if you have the right attitude, you can observe everything like a child and enjoy it. And business, kind of to compare the two, business can be stressful and I try to put on a good show, but I've been up here figuring stuff out with tears in my eyes, trying to hide from everyone. Right? You've been there, right? Yeah, those days, like it can be really heartbreaking. Yeah. And you go through that, but there's also in my mastermind group, I go on sometimes and I see some other school owners around the world, and some of them doing, their systems are more intact and better than mine. And my mentor, I hear him talking, I'm like, God, it blows me away, like how good he is and what he knows of that world. And you have kind of a choice when you're there, is like to look at it with frustration, like, well, why am I not that, smart? Right. Or with curiosity. And I think you do that in jiu-jitsu.
Very much.
You look at it like you're overwhelmed or like, cool.
Yeah.
What can I take from this lesson? Maybe you don't get the entire technique, but you get an element you can add to your game, and you keep that childlike curiosity, and you remove the ego, which is like why they say like babies are good to look at as an example of what attitude you ought to have, because they don't care when they fall down. Oh, yeah. They just get up because they're intrigued by what they're doing. And if you can be intrigued by growing a business and curious, and even take the good with the bad, then you can enjoy what you do with a lot of passion.
Well, I think life has a way of you can listen to your mentors and adjust them accordingly, or life has a way of stepping in and making you wake up. Either it's going to hit your bank account, right? Yep. Or it's going to hit your personal relationships, right? Or it's going to affect your health. And that comes with, business. It comes with jiu-jitsu. I tell people all the time, jiu-jitsu is the gentle art, but if you abuse it, it will bite you, right? And I'm here to tell you, I've been bitten, but not doing the things that I should be. training not smart, not training smart, not taking care of my body, those type things, and you pay the price for that. Life will have a way of slapping you whether you want to or not into reality, and that's where we're back to the point where we have to be open-minded to change, but understand it is normal to be frustrated and want to cry sometimes, or scream, and if you have hair, pull your hair out, may have
you got a little left.
Yeah, I just got to pull.
That's why I don't turn around.
I just pulled off my back and my ears. So, but and we've been up, and hey guys, and it's not like we're the only ones. I mean, we sit here and admit that we have sat in the company of some high-level school owners and black belts at Accomplished and had these same oh man, complaint sessions and what am I doing, and how could I be in this situation? I've been doing this for this long, and it's well, because the landscape has changed, and I think, and circling back to the education aspect of it, right? Maintaining your knowledge. I think that's one of the catalysts that has made our organization be better, because the simple fact is we can't figure something out. We go read a book and things like that. We find it, and then we realize, you know what? This is good information. Why are we not sharing this with our students?
Right.
Why are we waiting our kids to be 18, 19 before they read their first leadership book? And they're smart, man. We guys, I don't want to brag, but man, the Team Tooke Association, man, we have some of the best kids. And I'm not talking about jiu-jitsu wise. I'm just talking about just kids.
They're good at jiu-jitsu too.
They're good at jiu-jitsu too, right? They're good at, but I'm just saying, just them as individual kids, they're so smart and bright and talented, and I mean, we love them. I'm surprised every day the things they do to impress us, the projects that we give them, how they above and go beyond. So, hey, why can't they learn this stuff? And I think, and we're known for that. I mean, our kids' leadership program, hands down, is the best in the state. I mean, I'll back that up any day of the week.
Well, I think the two go together too. It's you have when a child's confidence is raised and their belief in themselves goes up, their jiu-jitsu gets better.
Very much.
Because jiu-jitsu is in many ways an emotional expression.
Oh yeah.
It's technical.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have the technique or you can't do it. But your ability to get into the right state of mind and perform is based on your belief in yourself.
Hey, boost the individual's confidence and watch out. They can do anything.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you boost their esteem and their confidence, it doesn't matter what it's jiu-jitsu, academics, or what. And I'm not, and guys, don't get me wrong. I push, I want all of the kids to go to college. No, I want them to have the opportunity. If they want to go and seek that education opportunity, that they have it, right? That they have the skill sets to go for. I don't have a degree either, but I've gone to college and stuff like that. The thing is, knowledge, the quest for knowledge, you cannot stop educating, sir. And I tell the kids all the time, you don't want to go to college, that's fine. But the first time you get a job, you know what they're going to do? They're going to take you and stick you in training. Mm-hmm. You will never escape education. So, read books, library, online courses, trade course. You can never stop your seeking and your thirst for knowledge. If not, you will be left behind. I mean, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a formal education through college. You have to seek knowledge.
Yeah, I think, man, that's a great note to kind of wrap this up on. And I think that's maybe the best advice that I could give to any child or adult, is that life is an ongoing learning process, whether it be your jiu-jitsu, your education, your goals as an entrepreneur, or anything else, is be prepared to let the ego go, open up the mind, and soak in as much as you can.
Okay. That's
awesome.
Appreciate it, guys.
Good stuff, brother.
Thank you.
Good hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Corona fist bump.
Boom.
All right. See you guys.
Take care, guys.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that, please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to share this video with somebody else. Thank you.